Goedendag, welcome trek allemaal to all my Afrikaans-speaking followers. Welcome back to anyone else that is viewing. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel here and continuing to support an American rugby fan and an American Springbok fan here in the U.S. As we have this little bit of break before we start the Rugby Championship. For those of you who don't follow me on TikTok, I get it. I get it. TikTok is very much a young people's kind of thing. I get it. I understand. Trust me. I feel like an old man on there like 99% of the time, but it is a really good way to connect with large swaths of younger rugby fans throughout the world and some older folks that jump on there as well. And I had started out with the basic question that has the Rugby World Cup lost its luster? Has it lost its shine? Has it lost its appeal? And this really started when people started saying Antoine Dupont is the greatest of all time, despite never winning a Rugby World Cup, or when other countries that have had great success and everything outside of that started downplaying, saying, oh, World Cups aren't the only thing that matters. Well, for me being a Springbok fan, for me being a Southern Hemisphere fan, that is like the pinnacle of your team. When you win a World Cup, it means you're the best in the world. So with that came a completely different conversation. The Springboks are, in fact, back-to-back 2019-2023 Rugby World Cup champions after our greatest foe in rugby, New Zealand, did it in 2011 and 2015. And maybe I just wasn't as active on the internet in 2015, or maybe I just didn't pay attention, but I just feel like we don't get that same level of respect that the All Blacks garnered with their back-to-back World Cup titles. So I posed the question. I had posted the video on here as well and got some great feedback from it. I'd posted on TikTok and got a astronomical amount of feedback on it. And I was just like, okay, they're both back-to-back winners. Why does one get treated one way and one get treated the other? Now, I had at this point about 800 comments between the two platforms. And I've gone through and kind of weeded them out and kind of said, hey, look, we're going to do this in 3 parts. We're going to talk about the 3 kinds of comments that I got for these videos. And we're going to start out with the most common one first, which is, you just aren't as dominant as they were. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, from 2012, when they lost back-to-back, the All Blacks lost back-to-back, once to us, once to Australia, they didn't do anything back-to-back other than win until 2017 British and Irish Lions Tour, when they lost a game, Sonny Bill red card, if we all remember, and they tied the game, the final that made it a tied series. Between then and there, you can count all their losses on one hand. That's 5-6 years, all the losses on one hand. And I will not debate with anybody. 2015 New Zealand All Blacks may very well be the greatest team ever assembled on paper and in reality. The amount of future Hall of Famers on that team is uncountable. Would we want to talk about the GOAT? I don't talk about Antoine Dupont. I talk about guys like Dan Carter, Richie McCaw, Julian Savea potentially at one point, hopefully. Love you, Julian. But when you talk about the 2023 Springboks and the best teams, you're lucky to shoehorn in 2 or 3 guys. Peter Steph-Totoy sometimes, Eben Etzebeth sometimes, Cheslin Colby sometimes. So it really came down to that. We aren't as dominant as the All Blacks were during that time. And there's lots of commentary on that, and I'll make sure and splatter them all along the side of the screen here. That seems to be the number one thing, is that we haven't been dominant. The Springboks have not been dominant in our back-to-back Rugby World Cups. Now, we do know Coach Rassie Erasmus, Dr. Erasmus, has said that he wants to build a better win rate. But also, we kind of maybe need to accept that some records just are never going to be broken. The New Zealand All Blacks under Steve Hansen had like a 92% win rate. That will never, I don't think that will ever happen in this game. The modern game. I don't think that'll ever happen again. There's way too many people switching sides. There's a lot more parity now than there was in 2011. You've got us at the top, Ireland, and New Zealand, and all three of us have the potential of beating each other on any given day. The All Blacks from 2012 to 2017 were unstoppable. I don't think you're ever going to see that. Now, are we going to hold that record? Are we going to hold it to that? If that is what we hold it to, I'm 100% okay with that. But is that really the only reason? Is that really the only reason? In the next part of this video, we'll get into some of the, dare I say, more controversial statements that were made in the comment section. Some of these might ruffle some feathers. Some of these might upset some people. We'll just have to see how it goes, folks. But the next part of this will definitely be something you definitely need to listen to very carefully. Right after this video, we'll get into part 2 of this.
Running jump, wobbling.
I think that there are a lot of people who despised us for what we've done. For me, it's oblivious to their politics. I was oblivious to it. Truthfully, I have to say that, we can't even look after our own backyard. Why are we worrying about another nation? Playing rugby used to be always there. Oh, you black bastard, all that sort of stuff. You get the nigger word brought out all the time. So when you equate that to South Africa, look after your own backyard first. If you can't do that, well, why are you worried about what happens overseas?
Yes, in the words of Buck Shelford. That's what this part's going to be about. If you're uncomfortable, prepare to be even more comfortable. Yes, the legacy that these emblems carry is still a stigma. It doesn't happen as often as it used to, but when I tell people I'm a Springbok supporter, it does occasionally come up. Oh, it's because you're racist. That is the stigma that this unfortunately still does carry in the minds of people who just do not understand. Now, I brought up the video of Buck Shelford because for everyone that can say that South Africa was a racist regime, there are hundreds and thousands of Maoris that will tell you the exact same thing about growing up in New Zealand, even today. And there were some comments that were left that, hey, if you think that New Zealand is a utopia where racism doesn't exist, you're dead wrong. But I think that is also the reason why the Springboks do not get the same level of respect as the All Blacks, because of the stigma that is unfortunately still attached to not only this name, but the flag behind me. There are still people in the world that think that every white person in South Africa is a racist. And it's very unfortunate because I don't know any. And I know a lot of white South Africans. Are they right-wing? Are they Donald Trump Republicans? Yes, of course. But does that mean they're racist? No, it doesn't. They might have conservative values, but I don't think that makes them racist. So that's the other part of this. It's the legacy of this. It's the legacy of the All Blacks jersey, and it's what the world sees when they look at the jersey. There's people that look at the All Blacks jersey and see proud Māori, proud Pakeha. That is the word for white and Māori. Proud Pacific Islanders representing the tiny island in the South Pacific, which has reigned supreme over the sport for so many years. And there are people that look at this jersey and still see apartheid. Now, I could go into a whole breakdown of that, but I won't. I think it's wrong. Apartheid was wrong. And I feel like we need to continue saying that. No matter how much we need to do, we need to completely say that every time. Like, look, apartheid was wrong, guys. But is it what's going on in South Africa now? No. Far from it. The problems of South Africa that exist now are not because of apartheid. I might piss a few people off by saying that, but I might make a few people go like, yeah, he's 100% correct. Is South Africa a great country? Yes. It can do better. And in my opinion, I'm not a negative Nelly about it. I am an optimist. I think it is going in the right direction. I will not get into politics, like I said, but it is moving in the right direction, in my opinion. And I think the rugby program is a big part of that. Rassie Erasmus is creating, it's the Rainbow Nation. He's creating a Rainbow Nation team. It's happening before our eyes. And I think that the idea that the All Blacks are all safe, ask any Māori kid, they will tell you it's not the paradise you think it is. I know a lot of them that have gotten out of New Zealand because they feel like they're pigeonholed because they are Māori living in New Zealand. So I get it. The legacy of the black jersey does not have that stain on it to the rest of the world. But to a lot of people in New Zealand, in Aotearoa, I'll use the proper Māori name for it, it does exist. Racism does exist. And like Buck Shelford said, he'd heard the N-word hurled at him in New Zealand. He did not hear it in South Africa. That, I think, is the bigger part. The bigger part in all of this. The third and final part is the part that I call the fun part. But this part, I think it's the stigma that still resides on this jersey, on this emblem, that keeps people away. You don't want to support that team because of the past. That's the past. Look at the present. Look at the present. That's not an apartheid team. That is a Rainbow Nation team. Sia Khaleesi is the captain of a Rainbow Nation team. Now, I will never say forget about what happened in the past, but don't hold that to this group of young men, because that's not them, and that's not who they are, and that's not who they represent. But once again, it is what it is. The All Blacks have a squeaky clean image. The Springboks, it's still sullied by the past. We will be back for the third and final section after this next video.
You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. So, what'll I make you? Good? You're not good. You just know how to hide, how to lie. Me, I don't have that problem. Me, I always tell the truth, even when I lie. So say good night to the bad guy. Come on.
And that's what it is. Part 3 of this will deal solely with, in every story, there's a good guy and a bad guy. And it seems to be, for a lot of fans, we're the bad guy. We're the bad boys. And with that, lots of other comments kind of made about that, how like it's easier to cheer. We've had the racism, we've had the history, the legacy, and now you're just the bad guys in the story. And part of me is a bit offended by that. But then you go through the comments once again, and you see South Africans saying like, we don't need their respect. We don't need their respect. That's true, 100%. We're Springbok fans. We don't need your respect. We want you to fear us. We don't want you to respect us. But then part of me is like, no, I want that respect. I want that respect from everyone else. And then you go into the comment section and you find out a good chunk of the disrespect is not even from our greatest foe, the All Blacks, the All Black fans. The All Black fans, they love us. They embrace us as brothers. We are their greatest rival. If you look at win-loss percentages, they have a winning record against every single team in the world. We have a winning record against every single team in the world except for the All Blacks. Except for the All Blacks. They are our greatest rival. I have said this before in the past. I will say it again. When we line up to receive the haka, I feel like there's just something special when Springboks do it. When you think of New Zealand, you think of warriors. When I think of South Africa, I think of soldiers. The warriors are laying out the challenge, the terms of war, and guess what? Soldiers, they always answer the call. Whether it's 57-0 in Albany, or it's 35-7 in Twickenham, or it's a single-point victory in a World Cup final. When the Springboks line up to receive the haka, they know the challenge that's being laid, they accept the terms, and they go to battle. The All Blacks fans are not the doubters in this. The negativity is not typically coming from the South Pacific. Where is the negativity coming from? Well, I think you already know where a lot of it's coming from. I won't mention a country, but I'm sure you can figure it out. The All Blacks are our greatest foe. We are the All Blacks' greatest foe. But if you want to have a good guy and a bad guy, I'm okay with being the bad guy. I'm okay with it. Because when I think of the bad guy, I think of the Detroit Pistons. I think of the Broad Street Bullies. And I think of the underdog. We don't need you to cheer for us. We'll cheer for ourselves. And one of the best comments I got under any of my videos, I will post it right now, and you can see it. That is one of the best comments. We don't need your respect. We're the bad boys. I like having respect from our greatest opponent, which is the All Blacks. But if you're anybody else, you can futsek. Because you're not our greatest opponent. You're not our greatest rivalry. If you're anything other than the All Blacks, I don't need your respect. I don't need it one single bit. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments section. This 3-part video here. And maybe we'll do this again in the future. I enjoy kind of reaching out, getting discourse going in the comment sections on my videos. It's so fun. I do have an interview coming up later this weekend, so keep your eyes peeled. It might come out before this. It might come out after this. I'm going to be interviewing an All Blacks fan based in England to talk about this rugby championship we got coming up. I was going to try and find an Aussie to interview, but yeah, I don't really talk to very many Aussies these days. But I'm very excited about it. You guys, please subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And maybe we'll do this again in the future. We'll do one of these. I'll ask a question. We'll get the feedback. We'll put a video together and we'll do it. But I just want to thank everybody that commented on the video, either on YouTube or TikTok. You guys, I enjoy the discourse. I'm all the way over here in America, guys. I don't have people to really do this with face-to-face here, and I appreciate each and every one of you who do comment in my section. I know it's like I might reply 7 or 8 hours later because I'm asleep. But I do thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for continuing to support this. It's still very DIY. I'm still it. It's still just me. It's still just me in a room in my house. And I do thank you so much for the continued support of this channel. And we'll be back soon. We've got the Rugby Championship. We've got Game 1. We've got getting up in the middle of the night to watch our boys take on the Wallabies from Australia. Yeah. When people ask me if I miss Super Rugby, I do at times. I don't miss those. I don't miss those games in the middle of the night. But we'll talk to you guys again very soon. Cheers. Tootsians, guys.